Hi everybody, hope you guys are all having a great day. My name is Mr. Sam Lobley and this is another installment of my virtual classroom. So if you remember last time, we went over the basics, the foundation of the blues, and we even had a little fun improvising just basically over the blues progression. This lesson is going to get a little bit more in-depth into the blues, which is why I recommend this lesson be for grades 4 through 8. Before we get into it, I'm going to ask that you guys get your instruments ready. Whatever instrument you have is fine. If you have a keyboard, saxophone, trumpet, any kind of horn, guitar, bass, anything that makes a sound you can play around with is totally cool. If you have no instrument, you're free to sing along. I'll be doing some singing too, so we can sing together. And if you really do want a keyboard, there are some free apps on the App Store that you can get on your phone or tablet. But if you don't want to do that, singing is totally fine as well. I'll also ask that you guys have a metronome handy if you have it. If you don't, there's a bunch of free metronome sites on Google. You can just Google metronome and a bunch of them will come up. Okay, so last time we started with the blues scale, which looks like this, right? Looks like this. I'm going to play it from down to up. So this is going from left to right. So it goes C, E flat, F, F sharp, G, B flat, C. Right to left, down. C, B flat, G, F sharp, F, B flat, and C. Okay, that is the blues scale. We went over that last time. If you guys want a more in-depth look at this and kind of like how to play it on the piano and how it sounds over the blues progression, I recommend you go check out my last lesson. I'll be going over the progression in the blues scale again, but if you really want to go in depth, I recommend going back and rewatching my last lesson. We also, last time, went over the blues scale progression. It's 12 bars, 12 measures, and only 3 chords, right? We have C7, we have F7, and we have G7. So if you want, again, if you want to see how these chords work and how they're built, I recommend going out and checking out my last lesson, because we have a lot of fun stuff to get to today. So now, if you can see that I marked in the top left-hand corner of each measure, I marked it with a number. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on for 12. This is just so you guys can help follow what measure I'm on while I'm playing along. And speaking of, I'm gonna run down a quick chorus of this blues progression just so you guys can get an ear for it for today's lesson. Okay, so I'm gonna put my metronome on, my handy dandy metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. Now remember that parentheses chord, that G7 chord at the end, is called a turnaround. And that is just a fancy way of saying it helps us separate the end of the progression from the beginning of the progression, right? Just so we don't get lost, right? And remember, a progression is just a collection of chords that tell a musical story. And speaking of big words that are less scary than they seem, we're going to introduce a new scale today, and that is called the pentatonic scale. Now, pentatonic is a very big word, but it's actually a very small and easy to learn scale. So this is what it looks like, okay? It's actually only 5 notes. And the reason I say 5 is because these notes are both C, They're the same note, they're just higher or lower than each other, separated by an octave. So we count them in music, we count those as one note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 notes in the pentatonic scale. And the prefix penta means 5. So that's where the name comes from. The pentatonic scale sounds like this in C, C, D, E, E natural, not E flat. Because remember, in the blues scale we went to that E flat, C, E flat. But the pentatonic scale uses the E natural instead of the E flat. So we go C, starting from left to right, C, D, E, G, and then A, and then C. And back down, C, A, G, E, D, C. Okay, I'm going to switch the camera angle so you guys can see how I play it on the piano. Okay, so here we go. This is my middle C right here. So here we go. I go C, D, E, G, A, and then top C. And then back down. C, A, G, E, D, C. Okay, I'm going to sing along with you guys. Now, I'm going to play this again, and I want you guys to sing along with me at home, just so you guys can get this in your ear, all right? So, here we go. C, D, E, G, A, C, and back down. C, A, G, E, D, C. All right. Very, very, very good. Okay, so now we have 2 scales in our repertoire. So we have the blues scale, which we learned last week. Okay, real quick again. And then the pentatonic scale, which we just learned now. Okay, now, why did I teach you this new scale? Because if you remember from my lesson last week, I mentioned that the blues scale can pretty much fit over the whole blues progression, right? I mentioned that it fits over all the chords. It fits nicely. You can make a lot of really cool melodies from it. In fact, I'll play one for you right now. It's a jazz saxophone player by the name of Sonny Rollins wrote a tune called Sonny Moon for Two. That it's a blues, and it just uses, the blues scale. So I'll play it for you right now, real slow. Get my metronome. This is Sonny Moon for Two, and try to hear the blues scale in this whole tune. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just the blues scale. That's what that is. So you can do a lot with the blues scale, obviously, but the reason that I taught you guys this pentatonic scale is that I'm trying to give our solo language, our solo repertoire, more color, so that when we do get to improvising, which we will in a little bit, so we can make a solo that sounds a little more musically professional. You know what I mean? It's like these are sentences and or words, and you use these words to make different sentences, just like when you're talking. You know, so I'm teaching you some different words that you can use to make some sentences that will make people go, yeah, man. So, right. So the pentatonic scale, as opposed to the blues scale, the pentatonic scale is different because the pentatonic scale, or at least the C pentatonic scale, really only works over the C7 chord, right? Really kind of only works over that C7 chord. You can play it a little bit over the G7, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't really sound that all that good with the F7 chord, okay? So, and the reason I taught you that way, the reason I taught you the pentatonic scale only working over the C7 is so we can give our solo variety, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, that actually leads into the next part of this lesson, which I'm going to teach you probably the most basic and easy to grasp form of solo improvisation over the blues. And that's called statement-statement elaboration. That sounds big and complicated, but it's very simple. So basically what statement-statement elaboration means is that you play a line, a melody, that's simple and easy to understand, or you can sing a line of lyrics that like talk about whatever the song is talking about in the blues. Usually it's about like loss of love or something like that. But the point is you set up a simple statement. The next thing you do is you repeat that statement. You repeat the same statement. Okay, and then the last part is you elaborate on that statement. And it fits very, very nicely over the blues progression, right? So I'm gonna write just quick in here, scribble on a little diagram here. So, right, so we have first statement over the first 4 bars. The second statement, the repeat of the first statement over the second 4 bars, and the elaboration over the last 4 bars, right? And you can see that it fits very nicely because the 12 measures are 3 groupings of 4. So I'm going to play a real quick example right now of statement-statement elaboration, just a real simple one, just so you guys can get the gist of it. So I'll put my metronome on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes the next statement. Elaboration. All right, so you heard the first statement I did. That's the first statement. That's the statement, right? That went over the first 4 bars, right? Goes over the first 4 bars. Second 4 bars, you go to the F7, and then the statement repeats. That's the second 4 bars, and then the elaboration. So if you put those all together, it really, I mean, that's pretty much just, you got a solo right there, or a verse, or what have you. A lot of singers, most singers will use this form when they write lyrics to the blues. It'll be something along the lines of, well, since my baby left me, I don't have a home. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then again, it would be, and they would repeat the same lyrics along with the same melodic line. So, since my baby left me, I don't have a home, right? And then, so that's the second 4 bars, and then their elaboration is, I don't know, something like, I don't have a home to come home to anymore. Something like that. And it tells a story, not just a story with the melody, but a story with the lyrics, and you can really just have a good time with it. So I'm going to do one more example for you guys. Put my metronome on. I'll do one more example of this, and this time I'm going to use the pentatonic scale in the first 4. Right? I'm going to use the blues scale in the second 4, and then I'm going to elaborate on both of them on the last 4. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right, so you heard me do my first statement. And then the second statement. Now, it's important to note that even though they were rhythmically the same, both of my statements weren't necessarily the same scale, and that's okay. The gist of it is you really want to get the rhythm of the statement in. That's really the most important part, because a lot of soloists and vocalists will switch up the notes in their statements, but the main rhythm of the statement is the most important part of keeping that statement elaboration. So that's really all it is. And if you can't remember statement elaboration, you can just use SSE. That's probably the easiest way to remember it. So speaking of SSE, we are going to try You and Me. We're going to do that on our own. I'm gonna play one. I'm gonna play a full progression of the blues progression. I'm gonna do that using SSE, and then I'm gonna play it again. But this time I want you guys to play along with me. All right. So remember, we're in the key of C. Use your instrument's voice, whatever you have handy, and you can use my metronome on the lesson, or you can use your own if you want to play a little faster, a little slower. I'm playing at 80 BPMs. If that's too slow for you, you can speed it up. Too fast, you can slow it down if you need to. Okay, yeah. So let's get it going. So I'll start, and then the next progression, next time through, you guys will go. Okay. All right, here we go. Metronome on. Oh, one more thing. I want you guys, when you guys play along with my progression, I want you guys to use the pentatonic scale in the first 4 bars, and the blues scale in the second 4 bars, and then whatever you want on the elaboration. Okay? If you need a refresher on either of the scales, pause the video now and rewind to when I went over both of these scales earlier in the video. Okay, let's get it going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you. Here comes the F7. New G7. We'll do it one more time. Me first. Here comes the F7. And the G7. Now you guys. And here we go. Here's the F7. Back to the C7. Here's the G. All right, that was great, guys. Very good. Now, I want to be very clear. If you don't feel like you played as good as you wanted to, or you made mistakes, that is totally okay. Part of this music and creating stuff that people like to hear is making mistakes and expressing yourself freely. So if you want to do it again, you're encouraged to go rewind the video and try again. Try as many times as you want. But in my virtual classroom, there are no wrong answers. And I want to be very clear on that, because the way you create great art is just by not limiting yourself to any kind of like rules or anything like that. There are certain rules that we'll get to along the way, but for now I want you guys just to clear your mind and just be free and use the tools that I laid out for you earlier in the lesson. And just have fun with it, because music is supposed to be fun, so I want you guys to have some fun. Okay. So for the next video, I want you guys to check out some great examples of SSE solo form in music. So you're going to hear me mention B.B. King over and over and over on these lessons, because he's a guy who built his whole career off the blues scale, and he's just a master of this music. So check out B.B. King's "The Thrill Is Gone." It's important to note that the progression is a little different than this one, the one that we've been learning. But when you listen to it, I just want you to focus on the SSE solo form that we talked about today. And the next recording I want you guys to check out is Crossroad Blues by Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson was a great Mississippi Delta blues player. He definitely one of the pioneers of the art form, fantastic guitar player, songwriter, a master of the blues art form. So definitely check that out too. So B.B. King, "The Thrill Is Gone," and Robert Johnson, "Crossroad Blues." Check those out, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. In the last part, I want to just ask you guys some questions. You guys can feel free to answer them in the comment section. My questions to you are, what songs have you guys heard that demonstrate SSE solo form other than the examples I provided for you? Next question is, can you guys find examples of the pentatonic scales in other types of music other than blues? The hint is yes, but definitely throw me some examples of what you find. I'm interested to see what you guys come up with. Next one is, do you guys have any questions relating to the scales or chords that we learned? If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll try to get to them in my next lesson. And then the last one is what kind of songs have you guys been wanting to learn or play to improvise to? Or if you already do some improvisation, maybe you're just riffing in the shower or just while you're doing the dishes or doing your homework or anything like that, just humming along. I want to know what songs you like to do that to. Okay, so that's about it for me this week. Hope you guys are staying safe, washing your hands, staying home. Hope you guys are enjoying time with your families and staying happy. My name is Mr. Sam Lobley, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye-bye.